Geico presents Our Town, Season 4, a 30-minute podcast produced by Best Bark Communications, a small but fierce client-centered marketing company powered by decades of experience and well-established business networks. Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Now, here's your host, Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and this is Our Town, and we have a distinct pleasure today to be a part of and talking to the most important female, I think, on television in Washington, but we're also at the studios of my favorite radio station, WTOP. All news all the time. I love it. Hillary Howard, welcome to Our Town.
Andy, you flatter me. I mean, clearly I'm not the most important woman in DC TV, but that's very kind.
The most important one on this station.
Oh, well, that's very,
sure.
very kind as well. I can't say that.
Well,
but thank you.
Timing is everything, Hillary, and you're at the most valuable time, and that's when the most people hear you, and then that makes you the most important. This station is so powerful. You don't want to hear this, but I'll tell you anyway. I remember WJSV. It was 1500. That was the forerunner. It was owned by the Washington Post. And there was a chance, and it's a long story, but I'll make it short. CBS wanted to have a Washington TV outlet. They didn't have one. They approached the Washington Star to make Channel 7 affiliate. And the guy at Channel 7 said, I'm not leaving ABC. They started me, and I'm sticking with them. That loyalty doesn't exist anymore. No. It's all about money. But that was the Star. That was our hometown newspaper. And we're so glad that you decided, you're obviously a New Yorker.
I am from New York, yeah.
The city?
Born in the Bronx, raised in the burbs, and then went back to Manhattan for a while.
Manhattan is happening again. I mean, people tell me now.
It's Brooklyn, baby.
Oh, it happened. I've been traveling back and forth to New York for business and pleasure for years and years and years, and I've never heard so much adulation as New York's getting.
I've got to tell you, my parents are from Brooklyn. My dad grew up in Bushwick.
Oh, my.
I used to vacation there in the 70s at my grandmother's house. It was a tough neighborhood. It's unbelievable how Brooklyn's changed.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the millennials have moved into Brooklyn, I understand.
Yeah.
And when we can get along the water, it's a fortune. They used to live over in Jersey, but they've come back to the city. That's what I'm told.
Mm-hmm.
The trains and so forth. But New York is so exciting. And you went to grammar school in New York and high school.
In the burbs. And
then went to NYU. Now, that is important. To me, that's the epitome of New York City is NYU.
My heart's in the village. And it always was. But it was a great place to go to school for broadcasting. It's interesting because my first school, I went to a state school in New York called Oneonta. I went there for 2 years, and then I transferred to NYU. One of my friends from Oneonta. Oneonta is in the beautiful Susquehanna Valley of New York.
Wow.
Kind of midway between Albany.
Waring would love that.
So my friend from Oneonta asked if it really mattered that I went to NYU. Was my education that much better? And I really thought about it. And after a lot of consideration, I'm like, you know what? Not really, because I had great professors at Oneonta. The difference was access to opportunity. In New York, if you're going to NYU, I had professors who were producers at NBC News. I worked at RKO Radio Network. I worked at WINS Radio. So, it was the access to opportunity to interning at 30 Rock. All of those things that could never have happened if I stayed in a small school.
Well, opportunity knocks at those schools for whatever reason it does. It's WTOP to me is great call letters. NYU is great call letters too. When you find somebody that goes to that school, they have to have a good brain. I guess now it
was easier to get in then. It was easier to get in then.
It's a private school, right? It's not part of the city.
Yeah. True. That's it.
That's amazing. And then you have the SUNYs and so forth, but they're all upstate. So that gets you connected in New York and connected with 30 Rock and people. Where did that lead you to?
Well, I made a lot of connections, which was wonderful. And I learned a lot. For example, RKO Radio Network, which was relatively short-lived.
Right, but I remember it vividly, RKO.
It was fabulous. And the talent at that network taught me some of the most valuable lessons in my career. Their approach was conversational. They wrote for broadcast. They weren't just repurposing wire copy and, making some long, dense sentences with, many, many clauses. And it was just a very fresh approach to doing the news. Still
What a great
informative.
experience for you. They had a great radio company, too.
Yeah.
RKO Radio. I think they owned WGMS here for a while. What do you think of that?
Huh? Wow.
Way back. But so that led you into being an artist, or an artistic, correct? NYU?
I guess I have a bit of an artistic soul.
I think
I'd
you
say
do.
that's true.
I watch you and doing the weather, and I think you're selling the weather, and I appreciate that. You don't just do the weather, you sell it.
Back in the day when I did the weather, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And then now you're selling the news, but that's another subject. So I want to talk to you about your career in television, and it's all in Washington, but where you really got you went to Wavy in Norfolk, right?
I did. I started in radio in and around New York. So after I left the city, I was in Poughkeepsie, New York for a while. Oh, this is a good story. I worked at a station called WJBB in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was owned by Cousin Brucey of WABC fame. Remember
Is that
him?
right? Cousin Brucey,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he owned a couple of stations in the Hudson Valley.
He was the morning man
Yeah,
at WABC.
he might have done afternoons. Now I can't remember.
Could be. Drive time guy.
Yeah. Big voice, big personality.
That was Radio 77 then.
Yeah,
You could hear 'em all
77
over the world.
WABC. The music's on us.
They went and went, right?
Yeah, they did. So he owned these stations in the Hudson Valley, and occasionally he would come in and he would jock for a day. So he came in, he was doing a music show, and I was the news person.
Wow.
So I got to do the news with Cousin Brucey, and when I finished, he told me I was good, and I will tell you, it was a career highlight. I was like flying home that night.
Most people are too young to remember Cousin Brucey, but the impact that 77 radio and their personalities was enormous because they were the first real, genuine rocker in the U.S. Is that not correct, WABC?
It was and is still a legendary station. It used to be, you could walk, I'm not joking, you could walk down the beach from Long Island through New York, down the Jersey Shore, and every single blanket would have WABC. And it stayed that way until WPLJ came along on FM and started changing
That's
things.
a sister station, too.
Was it? I don't even remember.
Both of them are owned by ABC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And Cousin Brucey and the talent they had was world class because it's still about talent. And, I think that's the secret of WTOP, but that's another subject. So that excited you to follow the radio career, but you knew that your coming was in television. You're so attractive. It still works. Television still, people like to see attractive people. It just happens, Hillary.
Well, yes, it's a little unfortunate that it's the way it is. But
I keep telling Joe Palca that's why he's not on TV.
I'm sure he loves you for that.
But he loves me anyway. But because his wife is so great. I know you worked with her.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We're going to come back, Hillary. We're talking to Hillary Howard about her career and her fabulous career. And she's going to be on television, be the #1 female television performer to me. This is Our Town.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth. You have 14 login passwords, and you can't remember any of them.
Doug 1. Doug 2. Doug is awesome. Doug is awesome 1, 2, 3.
Truth. It's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
Doug is super cool ! Exclamation point 1985. Knew it.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is Attorney Mike Collins. Come to my seminar and I'll explain in plain English all you need to know about wills, trusts, taxes, probate, and how to keep your money in your family. I'll show you how to eliminate those dread death taxes and avoid the expense and delay of probate. See how our reservoir trust can protect your family's inheritance from lawsuits and the divorce court. Thousands of your neighbors have already attended. So watch the mail for your special invitation and register now at MikeCollins.com. That's MikeCollins.com.
You're listening to Our Town.
This is Andy Ockershausen in Our Town, and chatting, and I say chatting because that's what we're doing with Hillary Howard, talking about her career. I think we've exhausted our radio discussion. Let's move into Hillary Howard on television. I see the call letters WAVY in Norfolk. Mm-hmm. That's a very famous call letter to me. Wavy.
Yeah, Wavy
Ocean.
TV. Wavy TV 10. But before I was at Wavy, I was in the Hudson Valley. I worked at a TV station in Kingston, New York, called WTZA, from the Tappan Zee to Albany.
Oh.
Channel 69. And that's how I started doing weather. So I'd been at another legendary AM, all-service AM on Long Island in Merritt called WGBB. I was there for, I don't know, maybe about a year when I got this opportunity to do TV in the Catskills, ostensibly.
You had to move then, of course.
I didn't. I had a rent-controlled apartment in Murray Hill.
Oh, my.
In the early 80s.
It's gold.
I was paying $304 for a gorgeous studio in a doorman building with a little terrace looking out at the Empire State Building. I mean, I used to write socialist poetry. I felt so guilty. It was like, who could afford to live here, on that kind of money? But I did.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then from there, Why
did you ever leave? You should have sublet it, I bet, and just go back to it when you get hit the big time.
My sister is still really mad at me. She's never forgiven me because my boyfriend at the time was living with me, and when I moved for good, I let him keep the apartment. She's still pissed.
Yeah, he's still living on your discovery then, huh?
Yeah, he eventually
my God,
moved.
You should never find anything like that in Manhattan. You're a lucky person. Now you're moving, and you got rid of the apartment by dumping it on your boyfriend.
Yeah, no, he was very happy to have that dumped on him.
And you're moving south?
And I moved south. So after Channel 69 in Kingston, where I started doing the weather, that's the story I wanted to tell you. I was hired to be a reporter and a weather person. I was a journalism major. I'd always worked in news, loved news, never, ever expected or wanted to do weather until I had this job. So
it's a great opportunity for you.
It was a great opportunity. It opened all kinds of doors for me. So I would go to work. I would get an assignment. I'd go out with a photographer. We'd shoot our story. I'd write my story in the car. We'd go back to the station. I'd edit the story.
Yeah, you do all the production.
Yep. Took a break from editing. I would talk to AccuWeather. They would brief me on the maps. If I didn't understand a particular thing, they would tell it to me. I'm like, oh, cool. I'd bring the maps to the art department.
Your training.
Yeah.
On air.
Yeah.
On the job.
On the job.
Incredible.
On the job.
But you were such a natural with it. But given these opportunities then, did you study? Did you go to weather schools or just let it happen?
No, well, two things happened. After I left TZA and went to Wavy, I was doing weekend weather at Wavy and general assignment 3 days a week, which was perfect. It was great for me. Then I got the job to fill in for Sue Palka.
Or Hampton Roads or somewhere down there?
I was living at a little place called Chick's Beach next to the Bay Bridge Tunnel. And now it's all mini mansions. But back then I lived in a salty beach bungalow that was half buried in the sand.
And close to Virginia Beach, of course.
Yeah, but I was right on the beach, right on the Chesapeake Bay. I would try swimming with the dolphins every day in the summer.
Oh, my God. This is all giving you an opportunity to spread your wings to do other things. You're doing news. You're doing probably some sports, somewhat. Did everything as an assignment.
Never
report.
Sports. Sports is the only thing I haven't done.
And that was experience you couldn't pay for that.
Nope.
And they're paying you a salary and you're learning.
Right.
Now, how in the world did you turn that into a trip to a bigger market, which is what people should do? There's so many people in our business didn't get that opportunity. They don't get jobs in it. Nobody starts at the top, Hillary. Everybody's got to pay their dues. Been my experience in broadcasting, usually from smaller stations. Of course, Wavy's not a small station.
No.
That's a huge market in a lot of ways.
It is. It's a big news market, big news town.
Oh, absolutely. And then you're getting ready to move to Washington?
Right.
You auditioned?
I did, and I had an agent at the time. Her name was Shirley Barish, who is a wonderful woman, short woman. I met her before I signed a contract with her, who smoked a lot. And when I went to visit her, I never really saw her face because there was always a veily haze of smoke separating us. And she had this very husky voice. But I really liked her. So she connected me with the news director at Channel 5, and they hired me to fill in for Sue's maternity leave and then eventually do weekends and general assignment reporter 3 days a week. But when I started to fill in for Sue, every day before work, and I lived in D.C. at the time, I would drive out to Camp Springs, Maryland, where the National Weather Service used to be located.
Know it quite well.
And there was a wonderful director of the Weather Service named Jim Belville who let me come to the map discussions every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, so I learned a lot. I learned a lot for those guys. And separately, I learned how to decipher guidance and It was wonderful. I love science. I'm kind of a geeky person anyway, so it was good for me.
Well, but that gives you such a broad background to do news because you know all these other things. I don't think there are many news people that know weather, and you do. And
Yeah.
that is an asset to the station, to you, and to your partner, too, because he can rely on you to have information.
Hopefully.
Well, you're a team.
That's true.
And speaking of team, did you ever do any sports broadcasting of women now are doing play-by-play, and I'm so happy for that because it changes the face of that dumb sport. And they're not only doing color, they're doing play-by-play. I think Fox did that on one of their telecasts.
I would need to know something about sports to be an effective sportscaster. I can do it as satire, Andy. Very well, but not much more than that.
Yeah, you're so talented, there's no reason you couldn't do it, Hillary.
Well, again, I'd have to know something.
I just think it's wonderful for the industry, and I think it's wonderful for football to have women with a very prominent voice, and we need that.
I agree.
And I've been enjoying this so much, Hillary, and I'm going to be back. This is Andy Ockershausen, and this is Our Town.
Hi, Tony Sybil here to tell you about Tony and Joe's and Nick's Riverside Grill at Washington Harbor in Georgetown. Spectacular new restaurants. We've spent a lot of time rebuilding. You'll love it. It's really fantastic. For any information, you can go online to tonyandjoes.com. It'll be a wonderful experience for the whole family. Call 202-944-4545 to make reservations. Everything is fabulous. You've got to come down and have some wonderful food.
Hi, I'm Charles Mann. For athletes like me, playing every down in a pro game is like getting in a car accident. After years of playing football in Washington, my body is broken. I've had countless surgeries and joint replacements. I've been looking for a non-surgical treatment since I ended my career. I heard a radio ad for a seminar about alternative treatment. It's called regenerative medicine, which stimulates your own body to heal and repair itself. No surgery, no more pain. That got my attention. I went to a seminar to learn firsthand all about it. Now you too can benefit and receive this treatment. This is the same procedure that pro athletes use to quickly and effectively recover from injury. If you're looking to eliminate your pain and arthritis, or if you thought surgery was your only option, take the first step like I did. Call 410-787-7250. Register for the next seminar and learn more about this breakthrough procedure. Seating is limited. Register now by calling 410-787-7250 and start living life again.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and having a wonderful conversation with Hillary Howard. It lists so many ideas she's talked about, places and people, and it rings so many bells with me. And I like to talk about it. And one is my favorite quiz show, probably ever, was your favorite quiz show. Now, too, it's academic. It's such a big, big, big part of our culture, I think. I think that has been produced for years, and it's been such a important thing for our town.
Yeah.
That's your baby.
I am really thrilled to be a part of that show. I really am. It's an honor to be a part of a legacy program with those wonderful people who produce it and the kids, and that we're giving props to education. You know, knowledge is sacrosanct.
Is that Sophie Altman?
Sophie Altman started the show 58 years ago, almost 58 years ago. We're in the middle of the 58th season. And
I know her son quite well, Bobby Altman. But she is a legend in Washington television because you said 58 years. What last 58 years?
Not
the call
much.
letter. Even they've changed.
Well, you know, we're in Guinness World Records. It's Academic is the longest running TV quiz show on the planet.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big, big quiz. It's more than just a show. Those kids, to me, and the way they stage it, and the cheerleaders, and everything about It's Academic is great.
Mm.
And Sophie was a genius to start it, but it's been, expanded greatly over the years.
And she never expected it to last. She never thought it would last. That's what her daughter Susan told me, and Susan Altman's now the producer, along with Susan Leshner, who's been there for more than, probably 55 years, and even Joel Kemmelhor, who came on late He's almost at 50 years, so they've been doing it a long time.
Did the directors have been with them for a long time, too?
Yeah, Shelley's been there for a while, but I don't know how many years.
Do you still do that at Channel 4?
We
Shoot it at
we
4?
do, although we're not going to do it there next year, apparently.
Well, for a while, it wasn't on 4. It's been on several stations, you know. Used to be on WTOP TV. And there was a time when Mac McGarry, that you ran out of a job.
I did not, and I'll tell you what happened. I would never. I loved Mac.
Nobody is like McGarry.
He was intelligent, erudite, hilarious,
A big
a gentleman.
jazz fan. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. My husband and I went to dinner with he and his wife, and they were talking a lot about jazz. Yeah,
He was such a legend. Was he the original one?
he did it for 50 years.
I know where they came from. There's a whole group of guys came down here from Fordham University.
Yeah.
Came to work in Washington Television. Mac was one of them. And there were a bunch of guys lived on Macomb Street. They were all legendary broadcasters. And Mac McGarry was such an important part of our town. I mean, they can never, you replaced him, but he can't be replaced because he was first.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even have attempted to. Do you know who brought Mac McGarry to Washington?
Uh-oh. Not Bob Altman.
Nope.
No.
You want to guess? This is going to surprise you if you don't
Bill
know.
Malone?
Nope. Vin Scully.
Oh, Vin. Yeah, I know. He's a Fordham grad.
Yep. That's why Mac came to Washington.
Because
Vin
of
called him
Scully.
up. Yeah, said, there's this job. I think it was for the announcing job at WRC.
I was so brokenhearted when he moved out of the booth. He did one game last year, I think, as a toast or something. But those voices don't exist anymore. Like Red Barber. You're too young, but Red Barber was a
No, I
Yankee
remember,
announcer.
yeah.
And, you know, those voices were so important to the teams. Did you watch any of the Yankees and the Red Sox series?
I didn't.
You're in New York. I mean, that's
I
like
know.
blood feud. You know? The Red Sox and the Yankees. But back to academic, we had a sponsor here, a Giant. Is Giant still the sponsor? They've been in for 50 years, too.
Yeah, more than. Mm-hmm.
Because we had meaning some people and I were in the broadcast business, Channel 7. We had a arrangement with Giant. We were going to move the show. A Giant was paying for it. They could do what they wanted with him. And McGarry would not go along with it. He said, I am a NBC guy. They've been good to me. And if the show moves, so be it. But I don't want to move to another station. Boy, that loyalty doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
that's
the
hearsay.
Truth. That's the truth.
The man said, although I had the same experience with Willard. Willard never did the weather. He would be on the weather show, but you could watch it and say, what did he say? He would talk about everything else. Anyway, Willard was going to join them, and we were going to join Hardin and Weaver. And no, I wanted him to, but he said, I can't leave General Sarn. Do you believe that? Where's that loyalty?
Something.
He met him one day in the station, and they became acquaintances, and he owed his loyalty to General Sarno.
Isn't
I'm not
wow.
leaving WRC radio. But that's a story that shall live in infamy. But Hillary, you've had such an impact with your show. I mean, you've taken it to another height, and the kids are so good now. They're so smart.
They're so smart. But I want to tell you what happened, how I got this job, because it's a really interesting story.
I want to hear it, how you ran McGarry off.
No, stop. No, I didn't. Yeah, I was like, get out, get out. No, I would never. I loved
You're too
him.
sweet for
I
that.
knew him. So apparently he wasn't feeling up to doing the show. He hadn't been well, and his voice, he didn't like the sound of his voice.
He really had problems at the end.
And he didn't want to go on without his full voice. So
Great pipes, he called.
great pipes. He had great pipes. I got a call from, I think I got a call from Susan Altman, and it turned out, do you know who Bob Kerr is?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Bob Kerr worked at NBC for his whole career. I think he worked
Another
on maybe
legend.
Weekend Today, a fabulous reporter, wonderful human being. And because It's an Academic was shot at NBC, he had a friendship with these guys. So when Mac wasn't doing well, the first person they called was Bob Kerr. And they asked Bob if he wanted to do the show because they loved it. And Bob said, no, I'm not going to do it. But why don't you try Hillary Howard?
Wow.
Because Bob and I had co-anchored a show at the very short-lived Washington Post Radio just downstairs from TOP. And they called, and I took it.
Sophie called you.
Susan did. Sophie had been gone at that point. But Susan called me, and I started filling in. And then at some point, mid-season, Mac decided he wasn't going to come back.
His health was deteriorating rapidly. I knew that.
Yeah.
Special person. But so Bob Kerr thought of you, so you must have done something right, Hillary.
Presumably. He's such a good guy. So I'm very grateful to Bob for that.
We should be grateful for Statler, too. He kept you here, didn't he?
Oh, my husband, Dave. Yeah, Dave Statter. Yeah.
Is Dave still in the business?
No, he left Channel 9, I forget how many years ago already, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and he has a podcast called Statter911.com.
Oh.
It's all about fire and EMS issues because he had been a volunteer firefighter in Prince George's County before he, started reporting.
That's a huge part of our economy now, and our culture is these rescue crews. I'm involved with Heroes Incorporated. They take care of firefighters, families, and police families, but that's such an important. I read now they're packing up a bunch of kids to send them to. I say kids in their 20s. They send them down to Florida right now.
Wow.
Emergency crews.
Yeah.
From Fairfax. I think Fairfax goes everywhere.
For Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, and at PG County they do too.
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of friends in the PG County, and I love their fire department. And your husband's a fortunate man to have you.
That's very kind. I'm lucky to have him.
Well, Hillary, and academic. It's academic has you and has all these wonderful kids. And I used to be able to answer most of the questions. Now I might as well be in Mars. They're so smart and so attractive. I like the way these kids come on their dress. You don't have anybody that sloughs off on that show. And that's important. I used to tell people, if you're getting a chance, you got to dress the role. To be on academic must be so important to these young people.
I think it is.
And it's something they can share forever. Well, Hillary, you're so special. I'm so flattered that you would spend this time with us because you're really spending time to our, I hope, 100,000 hits. We don't know how many we get. The problem with what we're doing is no way to measure it.
Yeah.
But we know we have an audience, and we know we'll have a lot of people who want to hear about you because there's more to Hillary Howard than the show.
Well, that's just gravy. I mean, I'm thrilled that people may be interested enough to listen to me. Thank you very much. But but just talking to you about all of this stuff has really made my day.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
You can flatter me all you want.
Well, hello, big boy.
My problem is I've been around so long, all my people are dying.
Oh,
thank
stop.
God you're still here with us. I mentioned the names and the people that you talk about, and they're so important to our culture, I think, and they're important to our town. And nobody's more important than Hillary Howard.
Well, I bet you say that to all your guests, you sweet talker.
Only the girls. You don't mind if I call you a girl?
No,
because
please.
You're a girl to me.
No, please. Hey, before we go, there were a couple of people
Wait a minute, where are we going?
Well, before we say so long.
The show might be over, but I'm not.
I have to mention a couple of people. We talked about Sue Palka earlier.
Certainly.
First of all, she's a friend and a wonderful person and really made my transition at Channel 5 so wonderful. We mentioned my partner here at WTOP, Sean Anderson.
Yes.
I couldn't do it without him. He carries me every afternoon.
Guy.
And this station, I didn't tell you about this station. We talked about my whole career, but I didn't tell you that of all the places I've worked, and there have been many, it is the best shop I've ever worked in, with creative, progressive, forward-thinking, and kind management. It's an anomaly, and I feel really lucky to work here.
Well, there's no secret to be number one.
Well, that helps.
You get the right people, work hard, you can't miss it, can you?
It definitely
And Joel,
helps.
don't forget Joel. Joel is a wonderful man.
He's incredible. Incredible.
In spite of not knowing what he's doing, he's done a great job. But we
I'll tell him.
But we love you, too, and thank you for thinking of all those people.
Thanks,
People
Andy.
make this place. The call letters are great, but the people make it.
That is the truth anywhere.
And we're going to be talking to Neil Augustine, and I'll learn how to pronounce his name, but we're here next.
I'm looking at him right now. You called him Mr. Hollywood after you saw his headshot.
Hooray for Hollywood.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Hillary. You were beautiful.
Thanks.
This has been Our Town, and Hillary Howard has been such a wonderful, wonderful conversationalist, and I hope I didn't interrupt you too much, but God bless you, and keep doing a great job on the radio.
God bless you back, Andy. Thanks.
Thank you. Say hello to Bob for me.
Hiya, Bob.
How you doing? Thank you.
Oh, Bob Marburg?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like somebody named Bob. That's some errant person listening.
I love the traffic, too.
Yeah, he's amazing.
This is Our Town. This is Andy Ockershausen and Hillary Howard.
You've been listening to Our Town, Season 4, presented by Geico, our hometown favorite, with your host, Andy Ockershausen. New Our Town episodes are released each Tuesday and Thursday. Drop us a line with your comments or suggestions. See us on Facebook or visit our website at OurTownDC.com. Our special thanks to Ken Hunter, our technical director, and WMAL Radio in Washington, D.C. And thanks to Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.